So I'm talking about the 4 essentials you must know. Hopefully you can see my screen. And so now the question, I'm glad I defined dating. And like she said, dating is a very ambiguous term today. What do you mean by that when you say dating? Is it going on a date? Is it like, this is my girlfriend? It can mean many things. So she clarified that in the context of this conversation today, when we say dating, we are talking about that exclusive commitment, like that exclusive romantic relationship where girlfriend, however you want to call the person, but like that this is the person I'm dating, and I'm not like, this is as we are working towards something in the future. So so that is it. Now. So the question now is, what is the purpose of dating? Why do we date? Now I did a research. By the way, my first book, Single and Satisfied, I did a little research and I wrote the responses in my book. But I'm going to summarize to you what I personally have come up with, what the purpose of dating is, and this is it: to pursue an exclusive marriage-driven romantic relationship with someone of the opposite sex whom you consider as a potential spouse, giving yourselves enough time to make a final decision whether to marry or not. I know it's like long. Why is this still long? Because every part of it is extremely important. First of all, it's exclusive. Okay, like some people, I had a presentation at a church some time ago, and someone asked a question: can I be dating 3 people at the same time? Well, it depends on what you call dating. If you are defining dating as the way we are defining it, I don't think it's wise for a Christian to do that. That is not. You have to be focused, right? So first of all, it's exclusive. It's between, like, it's just us, really. Secondly, it's marriage driven. That's what I believe is supposed to be from a biblical perspective. It's marriage driven, which means that marriage is the goal. Now, mind you, it doesn't mean it may end there, but marriage is the goal. Thirdly, opposite sex. I'm not going to talk a lot more. You all know that already. It's not same sex according to scripture. Fourth, this is somebody that you can marry. Don't date anyone you can marry. Don't waste your time. Like, I wish people can just get it. Date people that you are sure that there's a probability this can end in marriage. Now, give yourself enough time, okay, now to make a final decision whether to marry or not. Meaning, there's a likelihood there could be a breakup, and that is fine. When I have clients coming for premarital coach, I make it clear to them. We have a contract. If you are dating for say 3 years, you have a contract for 3 years, and I tell them you can break up at any time. So if you do break up next year, the contract ends, right? And I make it very clear to them, we are not working towards breaking up, but it could happen. It's better we break up. A broken relationship is always better and better and better than a divorce. Okay, so that's important. So let's go on to the next. Now, having talked about the purpose of dating, okay, if I ask you to define marriage, I'm sure I'll get different things. Now, can you type in the chat room? Anybody, just type one sentence. When you hear marriage, what is marriage? Just type in the chat room what marriage is to you. Now, there's no right or wrong answer. Just be yourself. So marriage is da 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 da. Marriage. Okay, someone says covenant. Great. Can I see companionship? That'd be great. Broken relationship. Okay, that's what I was saying. Okay, anybody else? Union. Great. Thank you. Union again. Love. All of that. Now we can go on and on and on and on. But I'm going to give you 5 unconventional ways of seeing marriage, but it gives a very perfect and real picture of what marriage is. Now the first one is this: marriage is a tandem bike ride. That's what it is. You are riding a bike with somebody else, and both of you have to put in the effort to paddle the bike. If one person paddles, it will still move maybe, but it will be too much work for the person. It will bring stress and burnout and all of that. So think of marriage as a tandem bike ride. I'm going on this bike ride with somebody. We have to all put in the energy to ride this bike so we can move forward. If one stops, it slows us down. That is marriage, guys. That is marriage. Number 2, marriage is a mutual desert exploration project. So imagine you are in the desert with somebody, like you're in Egypt, in the desert in Egypt, and you have to explore the whole desert with just one more person on a camel or 2 camels. Just think about that. That's what marriage is. You're exploring. You're in this desert. We are not going anywhere else. It's just the 2 of us, and we have to find a way to survive. That is marriage. Think of marriage from that perspective. Number 3, marriage is a permanent sleepover. We talk about sleepovers as, like friends. I'm going to have a sleepover with my girls, with my boys, whatever that. But guess what? Imagine going for a sleepover where you can't go back home. That is marriage. My wife came for a sleepover with me, and she's not gone back to her parents' house. We are still sleeping over. That is marriage. So imagine you're going to sleep over with somebody that sucks. Somebody that you know this guy's character sucks. My wife and I watched a movie yesterday by the Winlows called, I think, Love Like Raymond or something like that. Very, very, very good lessons in the movie. Where the people pretend and masquerade as if they are committed to Christ, but they have other agendas. Marriage is a permanent sleepover. Right? Number 4, marriage is a lifelong co-authorship. Okay? So writing a book, my wife and I'm an author of 2 published books. The second one, Dating and Satisfied, Gloria and I wrote it. Actually, we did long distance dating. So we dated for 1,239 days, which is 3 years and 5 months. And we wrote a book about it because when we're doing long distance, people were like, bro, you guys, are you sure it's going to work? And I was in Ghana, but we were both in Ghana. And I was in Accra, she was in Kumasi. quite a distance, like about 5 to 6 hours drive, you know, and so we barely saw each other. Then about 3 months, 17 days later, after we started days, I moved to Rwanda to be a missionary. And then 7 months after I moved to Rwanda, so it was already long distance in Ghana, it became longer distance. Then when I moved to Rwanda, 7 months later, she moved to the US to do a PhD, and that became the longest distance. Guys, guess what? I stayed in Rwanda until 5 months to the wedding when I came back to Ghana. Gloria came back to Ghana from the US 3 weeks to the wedding. So we did everything long distance, okay? And so both of us wrote the second book, Dating and Sacrifice, just about our love story, basically. And I'm updating it now. And, you know, and bro, like it takes, you have to agree to disagree on writing a book together. Like, how should the format be? Well, I don't agree with this one. Okay, how should the chapters be organized? I don't agree with this one. Man, it can be a lot. That is what marriage is all about. You have to think through, talk about, because it's going to represent both of you. That book, like when the book comes out, is going to show who you are and who the other person is. That is what marriage is. The final one, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Marriage is a 50-year conversation. Oh man, I want to drop the mic here. I'm leaving. I'll see you guys next week. Just kidding. But the point is this, you know what I mean, right? 50-year conversation. 50-year conversation. Can you have a chat with this person for 50 years? Of course, it's not always going to be like exciting. Oh, I love you. I love you too. Oh, you look amazing. You smell good. No. When you wake up in the morning, after sleeping, it doesn't smell, you don't smell good. Your mouth doesn't smell good. That is marriage. But the point is, you can enjoy conversations with this person. It's not all about the physical things and sex and no, all of that, right? So that's marriage. Now, if you see marriage this way, I think it helps a lot to really think twice about, man, this journey is not a joke. I gotta take my time to see if I really want this or not, or I want this person or not. Now, that'll lead me to the next one, which is what I call the dating police flags. I'm guessing you've never seen this anywhere. This is something I just developed recently as I was reading, listening, and research. I like to listen a lot to stuff and read a lot of books. And then I have to also create stuff. If you know me, I like acronyms a lot as well. So, but guess what, guys? I came up with 3 flags. So now I use the police word because, I mean, we all know when you meet the cops or the police somewhere, mostly it's like they stop you, right? Like, hey, stop, slow down. You're either checking something, you did something wrong. Like, that's the police. You may not always be in the wrong, but they can still stop you. But once the police pays attention to you, you got to stop, no matter how fast you are going, right? So in other words, these are things that I think when this flag represents, when you see, like this means stop, slow down. That's what it means. The first one is what I believe we all know, red flags. So how would I define red flags? So these are non-negotiable deal breakers. Now, please listen carefully to this explanation. So now, issues that are fundamentally compromise your values, well-being, or long-term happiness is a red flag. So you've seen something and you realize that now this person keeps lying and lying and lying and like my sister, you know, was planning a wedding for a friend. 2 weeks to the wedding, the lady discovered that the guy already had a 4-year-old son, and she didn't know until 2 weeks to the wedding. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. 2 weeks to the wedding. Think about how traumatic that would be. That's crazy, right? In the updates, as I'm updating the Single and Satisfied book, I mean, so the publishers now to come out soon. You know, I met a Black American woman here, African American woman here, and I had a child. She's 84 when I met her. That was like late last year. And guess what? At 19, she was engaged to be married, right? And a couple of weeks to the wedding, the guy also wanted to cheat on her. And that was this. I'm not going to do this anymore. Guess how old she was when she married again? 48. Sometimes some things can be so traumatic, it impacts you for a long time. But this is the point I'm trying to make. When you see those red flags, don't ignore them. Run! This is so crucial because, guys, guess what? I like Tony Evans. He wrote a book called Being Single and Satisfied. I mean, writing a book on that, I had to read a lot of books on that. And I like the description. I said, marriage is the only thing that looks like this. Like a window with houseflies. When you look at a window with houseflies, right? Some of the houseflies are trying to come in the house. Others are trying to go out through the window. That's marriage. Others are in marriage like, man, bro, I signed up for the wrong thing. I want to go out. And some end up going out. And then others are like, I can't wait to go in. There's nothing wrong with coming in, but you have to have the things right. All I'm saying is when you see those red flags, don't joke with them because you'll come back to haunt you. Yellow flags are what I call, so this two I don't think you probably heard it. Yellow flags are what I call manageable imperfections. Now listen carefully. So these are flaws or annoyances that, while not ideal, can be tolerated or worked through with effort and understanding. You can never like 100% everything about your spouse. Guess what? Or your partner. You don't even like everything about you yourself. How much more somebody else? Sometimes I'm like, oh, bro, why did I do that? That was terrible, man. How much was someone else? So the point is, it's not like you see something different now. Well, because of this, I'm breaking. No, you don't have to do that just because of that. If it's a minor annoyance, you can just hang on it. I know the question is, so how do I know the difference? Don't worry about that. The last flag is what I call orange flags. Why do I choose the color orange? Because, because when red and yellow, are primary colors. And when you mix red and yellow, you get orange. So orange is what I call, this is case-by-case consideration. So situations that may be acceptable or unacceptable, depending on the context, severity, or potential for growth. So this one is really case-by-case, okay? So sometimes so whenever there's something in orange, it's an orange flag. You're simply saying, I'm not sure if it's a red or a yellow, but I know it's something that I want to stop and look at again. Okay, so now when you, and all orange flags eventually becomes a red or yellow. You can't stay in orange. Orange is like it's a waiting room. Pine, red, I'm gone. Or yellow, we can work this out. Now let's go on. So guys, this is extremely important. Extremely important. My wife and I, when we're dating, as we read books and talked a lot, Gloria said, one thing I hate in my life, as we're just trying to learn more about ourselves, is when you stack buckets up. Like, you can't put a bucket in a bucket. Why? The first bucket that is inside the second bucket is going to make the second bucket dirty. I said, okay, I hear you. Yeah, I don't even think about those things. I don't even think about buckets, right? And this can be a red flag. This is like, it's annoying if you do it. She's going to say, why did you do that? But it's not a big deal. Okay, we all have those things, but it's important you know the difference. Okay, now based on what I've shared right now, I'm going to show you Christian dating gone wrong. Guys, this is crucial. Okay, so I'm going to show you 6 things I've come up, 5 actually 5. So someone asked a question. I'm going to do a YouTube video on that actually very soon. Someone asked a question that, hey, if I'm in a relationship, how do I know that I have to break up? Like, if this relationship has to end in a breakup, how do I know? So I did a research and I came up with an acronym called BREAKUP. Okay, so the break is going to explain when you see these things in dating. Now, if you are married, you're already in it. I don't know, we can talk about that. But if you are seeing these things in dating, once again, I'm not saying leave the relationship, but slow down and get help immediately. Whether it's a red, yellow, or orange, make sure you're getting help to clarify so that you don't make a mistake and see a red as a yellow and then mix stuff up. So this is it. So BREAK is the break. It stands for something. The first one is biblical non-negotiables. According to my research, which I wrote in the Single and Satisfied book, I think the Bible gives us 3 major non-negotiables you should look out for in a potential spouse. I think every Christian must abide by this if you want to go by scripture. First one is opposite sex. Same sex, is not biblical from my perspective. Secondly, is faith connect. What I call faith connection. 1 Corinthians 7:39. Paul talking to the widows. He says, you can marry any one of your choice, anyone you desire, as long as they are of the faith. Guys, I've seen people who say things like, but what if I can transform the person? The person has a desire to, love God and know Jesus. You are not the Holy Spirit, ladies and gentlemen. You are not. And guess what? I'm not saying people cannot change. I have stories of people that actually changed in marriage. But why do you want to go into marriage with potential when you can actually see the person's past? I always say this, marry potential, yes, but don't just marry potential, marry past. So when you look at the past, let the past inform you about potential. If you're not seeing anything from the past and the present, that reflects the likely potential you're looking for, you are likely to see an exaggerated version of what you get. Guys, take this from me, who has been doing couples therapy for a long time. So that's the first one. So faith is disciple connection. That's the last one, which is, it's not enough to say I'm in the church. So faith simply means you're in church, like you're a Christian. Disciple means character. And I can give you a lot of examples, but I'll talk about one main one, which is like teachability. Is the person teachable? Like, for example, I know people that when you tell them, hey man, can we get guidance? Oh, well, no, we have to be private. I'm not saying it's entirely wrong, but when I see some of those signs, it may likely be representing, well, let's check this and see. We all need, and especially for men, we are stubborn. If your man is not submitted to anybody that can tell him, hey, you are messing up, stand straight. I don't know. I don't think it's safe. That's what I think. You can think otherwise. R for me stands for relational dynamics. All the time I'll rush through. So this one here is communication, conflict resolution, and coitus, which is sex. So basically saying that how the communication does it? He's always giving excuses. I don't have enough time. I'm busy. Well, let's talk. Okay. Conflict resolution. When the person is angry, how do they respond? Do they throw their hands at you? Do they shout and scream? I'm not talking about once in a while we all do that. I'm not hitting. Hitting is extreme, right? Talking about like shouting and screaming. You can get escalated sound. You're human beings. But my point is this a pattern? If this always happens, guys, slow down. The police is telling you, stop, don't go. If you go, the police says stop, you'll be in trouble. So the third one is coitus. Your relationship should not only be about physical attraction and sex and stuff like that. The reason why God says sex is for marriage, God is wise. Yes, why did God give us a desire if he knows he wants us to do sex in marriage? I'll give you only one answer. Because even in marriage, you need self-control. Ta-da! My wife just gave birth. Doctor says you can't have sex for a period of time. What do I do if I'm horny? Yeah, we are adults. I can talk about it. What do I do if I'm horny? Well, if I've not trained myself as a single guy or during our dating phase to know how to control my sexual urges, in marriage, I will fail. I went and watch pornography, masturbate, go and talk to another girl, whatever. Because I'm not used, my brain doesn't know that. My brain knows honey, fire, honey, fire. Now, honey, there's no wood for the fire. What do? You have to fire by you find a way to fire. Right? So if it's all about sex, I'm not saying it just means breakup. I'm just saying slow down and get help. It's very important. Okay. Now, the next one is this. Ease. This is crucial. If you have consistent, persistent doubts and fears, you may not even have to put a finger on them, but I just know that I feel like this thing is off. And I'm speaking to, once again, if you see this signs in somebody that is a potential person you are going to date, don't even start a relationship. Get help, like get guidance. If you're already in a relationship, I'm not saying break up, and I'm not also saying marry. Get help. It's crucial, guys. The divorce rate is alarming these days, even in the Christian world. Okay, the next one is allies. Now, this is crucial. So there are 3 A's. Authority. In other words, what are the people that you value and you know have proven over time that they love you beyond any reasonable doubt? What are they saying about the person or the timing? If you're like your pastor and I'm not just saying any pastor or any parent, this person has consistently shown you over the years that they love you, they care for you, they'll tell you the truth no matter what. And they tell you, I'm not sure about this guy or this girl, right? I'm not sure about the timing. It's a good thing for you to slow down and ask questions. Abuse. If there's ongoing, persistent abuse, run. Run. Abuse emotionally, whatever. Seek help. Addiction. I'm not saying that we all can't have addictions. We can't. But if this addiction is still there. I mean, I know somebody who told me that the other person said everybody has their struggles. His struggle is that when he likes you, he has to have sex with you. And it's a Christian. Okay. And you're going to marry this person? Girl, I don't know what you... I don't know if you really... I won't say the rest. I'll reserve my comment. Addiction, ongoing. Watch it. The last one is K. Nakery. Now, I didn't even know this word until I was doing my research and I found out this word simply means deception. So deception or dishonesty. If it is consistent, persistent deception, it's always lying here, lying there. Guys, the lies is part of the person's DNA. Can Christ change the person? Yes. But God didn't say marry somebody to change the person. He said marry the person who is already in the faith. So you're not if you want to wait for the person to change, then wait for them to change before you marry them. Don't marry them and say, I'm going to change them. You will regret it for the rest of your life. Now, the breakup here, the app here simply means upper perspective. Just get guidance, basically. So if you see any of these signs, get guidance immediately. So I'm going to end with this. Now, what are the 4 essentials I promise? Other speakers have mentioned it, briefly. I'm going to highlight on them. The first one is this: boundaries. Guys, I don't know. I wish I can. Boundaries are critical. Okay, some people say, well, like my wife and I, by the grace of God, when we're both virgins when we got married. Once again, like the first speaker said, virginity is not the thing. Like, I mean, when Chantal said, it's not like it's the main thing, but it is crucial. It helps in a lot of ways. You don't have comparisons because that's the only experience right? And so many other things. We were both virgins. But one of the reasons why, by the grace of God, we're able to do that is because we put in boundaries. Like, mind you, I've been a Christian leader for so many years, since I was 17. I've done ministry for so many years. I've traveled to different countries by the grace of God. With so many things I've done by the grace of God. But guess what? I knew myself. Having a past of pornography and masturbation, my wife also used to watch pornography. Like, we knew that, and our boundaries are really strict. Once again, when I say boundaries, I don't like that teaching of like, do this, don't do that. I feel like we have to come to the place of this. So this is a question I'm going to ask yourself. Beyond saying physical boundaries, let's talk about heart boundaries, boundaries of the heart. Okay? This is a question you need to ask yourself. The Bible says, love the Lord with all your heart. How can I love God with all my heart in this relationship? That's the first question. Second question, how can I love my sister or my brother? Now, when you look at Song of Solomon, Solomon addressed his beloved, my sister, my bride. Go and check it. My sister. I'm like, so when they hit, why is he saying sister? This is your bride. Because it's my sister's friend, before she's my bride. When you think sister bride, it makes a difference how you treat the person. Guys, it makes a difference. So boundaries are critical. My wife and I always was so extreme that even with holding hands, sometimes we're like, you don't do that. Do you know why? Not because holding hands is bad. I know myself. I know my past. And I know when I love somebody so much and I'm so much connected emotionally and I hold hands, I'm holding something. I know what to do for me or to me or about me or inside of me, concerning me, about everything about me. I know. So I was wise. Now, that's okay. You can hug. There's nothing wrong with hugging. No, but know yourself. Don't trust your flesh. We're Christian leaders. We speak in tongues, all of that. But we said we can't trust the flesh. I mean, even that it wasn't easy. So you can imagine if we did that. So all I'm just saying is that it's a conversation you must have. have boundaries, like clearly defined physical, especially you can have other financial, but especially physical, sexual boundaries, very important. Number two, and the last scripture I'll give you here is Paul says in 1 Corinthians 10:23 and 1 Corinthians 6:23 that all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. So yes, you can say, well, people say, why is kissing wrong? I'm not going to argue about kissing right or wrong. My concern is knowing yourself, would the kissing be beneficial to you? Well, I mean, kissing doesn't mean sex. All the best. I can't stand it. I don't know about you. Number two is what I call, so that's half. But number two is coaching. Who can guide us? Guys, this is crucial. Like, if you take nothing from this webinar and you can take, and if you are single, guys, start getting mentor. Like I'm actually doing a series of mentorship on my YouTube channel, Sayinspires, S-A-Y. I mean, I'm going to show you very soon. And so you can check it out, and it's great, very good content there. You know, I just started. So like, I don't know how to put it. Single guys, start getting mentors as soon as. When I say mentors, like start looking for people that can be guiding. Even as a single person, as you work towards, and that's why I'm doing that coaching service. If you want, you can talk about it. Okay. And then, but if you're dating, this is critical. It doesn't matter if you're 2 months to the wedding, 6 months to the wedding. If you've not had any guidance, like intentional, consistent guidance, I'll encourage you to get guidance. Okay. And that's one reason why I'm passionate about this. And now let me say this before I forget. I've developed a relationship satisfaction assessment that assesses 5 areas: communication, conflict resolution, emotional connection, faith, and trust and commitment. It's free. So if you are dating and you want that, you want to fill that form, and I have 1 or 2 people that have filled it right here. If you want that form, at the end of it, we are going to send a link that you can fill out and just write your name and stuff. We'll send it to you for free. Both of you and your partner will fill it out. Then after you fill it out, I'll have a free session for you. Okay, we have a free 1-hour session where we'll talk about the results and talk about communication. All of those major things. It's powerful by the grace of God. So think about it. Number 3, core values. Now, the first 2 to me are non-negotiables. That's what I think. This last is not really like non-negotiable. It's helpful to have it. So this is it. So you have core values. What do we stand for? My wife and I had, like, we all have our values individually. But as a couple, I think having that discussion helped. I'll give you just one example. One of our values, core values, was integrity, which is still a value in our marriage. And how we define integrity, we are open, transparent, honest, without compromise. So sometimes we're having a conversation, like when we're dating, and maybe Gloria is like, well, I don't want to talk about it. Like something, I don't want to talk about it. All I do is just remind her, remember, our core values is integrity. You have to talk about it. And guess what? That helps her to talk about it. Now, you're asking, but what's the difference? It makes a big difference because we agreed about these things, not when we're fighting. No. The beginning of the relationship, when we were excited, like we want to make sure we are doing this right. So we don't want to put in attitudes that was not going to help us. We don't want to be selfish. One of our values was selflessness. And that was really helpful, extremely helpful. So sitting down and say, what values do we want to uphold in this relationship? Yeah, you have yours, I have mine. Let's come together and say, okay, what are the most important values to us that we want to run this relationship? And the final one is what I call goals. I mean, I do goal setting coaches. I'll talk about goals all the time. Set goals. One of the goals that I think you can set, everybody should set in dating is, when are we marrying? It doesn't mean, get me right when I say this, it doesn't mean you will marry by that time. But have an idea, oh, we are hoping to date for the next 2 years or 3. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But you know what that does? It gives you direction and focus. It makes you know, okay, if it's going to be 2 years, what are the practical things we need to start doing now to make sure that we are ready for that? I don't know how, I can't tell you how much that helped. And we had other goals. In fact, the books I wrote and then the one Gloria and I wrote was one of our goals, and we were able to do it. The books we read, we plan to read, I think, 10 books. I read 6 books, cover to cover, and discussed it extensively in the 3 years and 5 months of dating. And we were on the 7th book, and then we got married. So guys, goals are powerful and they help. Once again, I'm here to guide if you need help with that. And there are others as well you can connect to. So as I'm concluding, I'm going to ask you a question and type your answer in the chat. Type A or B in the chat. Okay, A or B in the chat. So type A or B in the chat. Would you rather prefer a 50-year miserable marriage or a 45-year memorable marriage? Type A is 50-year miserable marriage, B is 45-year memorable marriage. So A or B? Sir Bobby says B. Abby B. B. Everybody, hey, why? Nobody says A. Okay, let me tell you something. Do you know the difference between 50 and 45 years? 5 years. Now, I want to say this sensitively, okay? All I'm saying is sometimes waiting for 5 more years is all you need to get a better marriage. You don't want to go into the marriage because you can't wait, because you are rushing. And before you know it, like, oh man, I regret it. You have to now start from scratch. And so this is really important, okay? And so I always say this, it is better to date, it's better to wait long than to marry wrong or to date wrong. And I'll quote Tony Evans again in his book, Being Single and Satisfied. He says that there are singles he talks to say, Pastor, but I'm miserable. You know, I can't, like, I'm so lonely in the night. I'm so this, I'm so that. Like, I don't have anyone to touch me at night. Sometimes I'm so lonely. I want someone to, you know, I want to have sex. Pastor, why is the marriage not coming? I feel miserable. This is what the pastor said. And I love it. I actually wrote it in my book. I quoted it in my book. He says, my dear, the only thing worse than being single and miserable, watch me, let me come closer, is being married and miserable. Think about it. All I'm telling you is that don't rush. Take your time. And I'm not saying age is a number. Yeah, I know there are a lot of other things connected to it, but do it. You want to make sure that if you are going into it, it's a long journey. You are doing it right. So God bless you guys. You can find my channels here, the Youth Lab. That's really about youth engagement stuff for youth ministry. And then we have the Sayinspires, which I talk about goal setting stuff and then relationship stuff. So God bless you guys.